Now, you know, if you were watching on Monday night, what I think of the 5 remaining members of the Bali Nine being returned to Australia. I think they're a pack of scumbags. They got what they deserved. It's not the responsibility of Australia to take back drug smuggling no-hopers and then put them up on the taxpayer dime, which is what they're doing now. But things have been going strangely silent since they were flown in on Sunday. We know they're in Howard Springs in Darwin, but there's been radio silence. No one's coming or going. We don't know when they'll move out. We don't know what sort of quote-unquote rehabilitation they'll be given by the government to enter back into the community. Let's cross now to the Australian's Liam Mendes, who is in Darwin. Liam, thank you for joining me. You've been trying to follow what's going on with these 5 remaining members of the Bali Nine, but I think it's been a pretty frustrating situation for you, hasn't it?
Thanks for having me, Caleb. Look, yeah, they arrived here on Sunday. They've had 3 nights in Darwin so far. You would have thought that the Albanese government would have had a few more things on their plate, but they're here now. They've got their chance at, redeeming themselves and contributing back to society. But it seems like the security has been ramped up at this facility. There's security patrols that are happening constantly in vehicles. They're flashing torches into bushes. It's quite bizarre in a way, considering that, not even a week ago, these guys were locked up in Karabakan and other prisons within Indonesia. But it certainly seems like the Australian government wants this to go away completely. There were no tip-offs to the media as to when they were arriving in. They were wearing masks as well. So it's quite fascinating to see this unravel, considering this has been such a huge story for 2 decades.
Well, and this is the thing, you've got to wonder then why they did it. I mean, maybe they thought that it would be a win and people would be on board. I mean, I know when 2 of them were executed roughly a decade ago now, there was outcry about that. I mean, I didn't particularly care, but as a country we have an issue with the death penalty, and Tony Abbott took that up at the time, and there was a level of sympathy then. But perhaps the government overestimated just how much people would have sympathy for these 5 remaining members of the Bali Nine, and now they're not backpedalling because they can't send them back to Indonesia, but they're almost pretending it's not happening.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's been funny because there's hardly any cars going in or out of this facility. There's these security cars I spoke about before that are going around, but everything screams of the government wanting them to go away as quietly as possible. But the interesting thing as well is, these guys might have already moved on. It's my understanding that at the moment they're sort of getting bank accounts set up, they're having medical checks. All those sort of things that you do need to get done if you've been locked up for 20 years. But it's the silence and the silence around this is very funny to say.
Indeed, and as I said the other night, it is extraordinary to think that there are people right now who are trying to work out how they're going to buy Christmas presents for their kids and how they're going to afford to put on Christmas lunch next week and whatever. And you have convicted drug smugglers who are flown back into the country on the taxpayer dime, put up in accommodation on the taxpayer dime, getting taxpayer-funded medical treatment, and then they're going to get taxpayer-funded rehabilitation to go back out into the community. I think they've totally misjudged this one.